It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a card game, a tableau building card game called Minute Realms. And yes, it is Minute Realms because I made sure to find that out. Even though technically, yes, you could say Minute Realms as well. And that's on purpose because the game is both tiny and short. And that's what they were going for. So, does the game achieve that? Does it give you enough going on in a short time frame? Does it feel interesting to build a tableau in front of you? Let's take a look. The game is going to be played over 8 rounds, and at the end of those 8 rounds, we'll calculate our victory points, and whoever has the highest total victory points is going to be the winner of the game. The way you get those victory points is from these cards here. So, right off the bat, let's jump into round 1 and how the whole thing works. We're going to have a star player, which gets this cool tower, and then everyone is going to be dealt 1 card face up, so we'll just say it's 3 players, so we'll put that one there for now so you can see it. And then I have one in front of myself. We also deal 2 of them face up just to the table here. And then, starting from the star player, we would have some coins at this point. So I would have star player gets 3, and then the next player gets 3, the third player gets 4. So there we go. There's some money in play, and the pool is just set aside for now. So, on my turn, I am going to build something in front of me. If I choose to, I can simply build whatever's sitting in front of me, and the card has a few pieces of information on it. It has a cost up here, in this case it's free. It has down here a suit, a kind of building it is, and then some sort of way in which I get victory points, in this case simply 3 victory points. It also has on the back a fortress, which gives us 2 shields if you build it on the back. I'll talk about that in just a second. There's also up here the trading corner, which is something that comes into play if you trade a card instead of just building it in front of you, all right? So, on my turn, I can choose to build this in front of me. I could choose to, and I'm going to pay for that, okay? I could choose to build it on the back, and that's simply a defensive move, and I would get 2 coins out of that. However, I cannot do that if it specifically forbids me down here in this corner. In this case, it does. I cannot do that with this card. Or I could trade this card for any other unbuilt card on the table. I could trade with one of these. I could trade with one of those. So, for instance, let's say I really want to build this card, actually. And so I'm going to give this card to my opponent. I'll take this one. I'll pay 2 coins, which is its cost, and I'll build it, starting my tableau in front of me. The other option is, of course, trade with them, not pay my 2, flip this over, and in fact get 2 coins. Now I'm defending myself. But let's talk about those trading corners, because that didn't come into effect because the card I took had nothing in the top corner. But what if it did? Let's instead trade with this player. I take this one, I give them the one I had. Whatever card I took, anything in the top corner there triggers for me. And in this case, I get a coin. That's what the green disc there signifies. So I would get a coin, and then I could pay and build it. This one gets me 3 victory points and a shield right on the front here. And that's how that works. The other symbols you are going to see throughout the game are featured right here on this card. In this case, if I took this card, that means that there is an attack, that one right there, in which we would take the top token here and place it below, signifying an attack this round, or that, there was one trigger this round. And then this one means I pay a coin to wherever this card came from. If I take it from my opponent, I give them a coin. If I take it from the 2 set aside, I simply pay a coin into that pool. And then I can do whatever I want, build it on the front or on the back if I'm allowed. And once everyone has built one, there will be 2 cards over here left over. Those are discarded. We move the stack over, and we go to the next round. So let me back all that up and actually do it so you see how this all works. Quite simple. I would have my 3 coins. I am, in fact, going to be stealing that one, so I'll take it. I get a coin, I pay 3, and I build it. Then it is that player's go. They are going to trade this card with this one set aside. That gets them 3 coins, and then they will build it. And it's free, so it's built. Done. And then this player is going to grab this card here, putting this one there. They'll take it. They trigger an attack. They pay a coin. It came from here, so they pay it there. And then they build it. It's got a 0 cost. Once that's done, these 2 are out. We move the stack to the next round. The star player token would rotate to my friend over here. And then everyone is once again dealt a card and 2 face up. These are separate from the ones already bought and displayed in your tableau. This is going to continue until the end of round 4. So let's say that there was another attack triggered there, and none triggered here, none triggered here, because there was no trading that involved that symbol. At the end of the 4th round, we are going to flip these over and see the strength of the attack. And these tiles have varying values. Usually 0, 1, or 2 is basically what you are going to find. So the total here would be 1. If you have at least 1 shield, you are fine, and you've survived that onslaught. If you do not, you are going to lose a building in front of you. You flip it over to show the towers, in fact, but you don't get the money because it's just, you didn't do it voluntarily. You don't get those 2 coins. And then we keep going. And at the end of the 8th round, we would again deal with any combat that happened, but in this case, at the end of the 8th round, it's everything combined, and you see if you survive. So the total would have been 4. If, again, you survived, you're fine. You keep everything. If you don't, you again have to lose a building. However, if you survive during the onslaught at the end of the 8th round, you also get victory points equal to the combined attack. So whatever I'm going to score, assuming I survive this, whatever I score, I get plus 3 points on top of that. Great. And then you score everything in front of you, and you see who has the highest score. Very simple. So let me show you some of those abilities, and then you'll have a really good idea of how the game works. This one's going to give you 2 victory points and a shield. Very simple. A victory point there, 3 victory points and a shield. This one's going to score 3 victory points for every other card you've got of that kind, of that suit. And again, the suit is right here in the corner. And so, for example, if I had this card in front of me there, already built, and I also have this one, I score 3 points off of that. This card itself means that if I have at least this combination once, so 1 of that suit, 1 of that suit, I get 6 victory points. It doesn't matter if I do it more than once, at least once gets me 6 victory points. You have some cards that have quite high victory point values. You are going to have some cards that don't have anything at all, because the idea is you probably traded for this and got a bunch of money out of it. And you've got, of course, cards that score off of some of the other suits as well. But that's generally the kind of things you're going to find. There's a couple of different ones, like this one's going to score for your leftover money, and this one is going to score the reverse of that, kind of. 9 victory points minus however much money you've got left. But generally, those are the kinds of cards you are going to find. And you even have this one here that scores for different kinds of suits. So you want a lot of different kinds, and you'll score a lot of victory points if you can pull that off. So there you go. That's the idea. Of course, you also have the backs, which give you the 2 shields. All right, so let's talk about this one. I'm going to use my target audience system here to break this down a little bit. We're going to start with thematic ties, of course. The theme here is fine. I find it to be sort of a little generic, you know. It's like, okay, cool looking buildings and attacking bad dudes who kind of look like Vikings. It's fine. It's fine. It's just not necessarily original. It works, though. It doesn't really help teach the game, but the being attacked and having defensive towers kind of works thematically. So it's fine. I'm not going to take away points from it because I think the theme doesn't fit or is a tired theme, but it's also not something that necessarily is going to make me reach for the game on the shelf because, oh boy, we got to play this game because of what it's about, you know? aesthetics. Let's talk about that and the quality of the components. I think both of those are really fantastic. The artwork is great. The buildings are beautifully illustrated. I like the way everything looks on the table. I like that very much. The components are also very nice. Cards are gorgeous, large format cards. They did not need to be that big, but they are. I like them. And then the coins are fantastic. Beautiful, large coins. Plastic, nice chunky plastic. Everything works together very well. And everything has a really clean look as well. I like that very much. I'm a big fan of clear iconography. What little iconography this game has is very clear. The replayability and the scalability, okay? I think both are pretty nice. The replayability here, the game, how many combos you can kind of link up is limited. There's not that many wild different kinds of cards, but if you had to learn a bunch of different kinds of cards, it would cut into the minute interpretation of this. It would be a longer game. There would be a little bit more downtime. What's there works, and there is certainly enough to explore multiple plays and figure out what kind of combos you want to go for, while never forgetting about those shields and looking around and seeing if other people are lagging in shields and you have more of them, then make those attacks happen, because you'll get some points at the end of the game, hopefully, and they'll lose some buildings. So yes, that's there. The replayability is there. And again, I think it scales quite nicely as well. The game length, it's great. Okay, it's quick. It's 8 rounds. Each round is, 2 minutes maybe? It's a very quick game. So I enjoy that very much. The ease of play, which is fiddliness, if there's any weird design choices, anything like that, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a little tricky to teach the first time. I had one of my players in one of the sessions had a hard time with remembering that you trigger a special trade power on the card you get only, but it's a minor thing. And overall, everything, like I said, looks clean and is straightforward. So there is no fiddliness here. Really clean design. You can tell a lot of streamlining went into this, and it shows. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, and if there's any luck. There's certainly some luck, right? And that's going to come more into play depending on where you are in the turn order when some cards that you want perhaps come out. If you're not early on, you're not going to be able to grab them. But I do like the fluidity of the turn, that you have not a card you got dealt, but cards on the table, and maybe you want a card, but you don't want the trade power on that card, so you might not do it. You might not trade for that card if you don't want, say, another attacker showing up, yeah? So I like that very much. There's some tactics here. I wouldn't say there's a lot of, long-term strategy, largely because the game is so very tiny and short, but combos are certainly a part of this, and I enjoy that. Even just little things like, I need a crown-type building so I can score this multiplier, yeah? I like it. So that's basically it for me. This game has a great look. It's sharp, it's tiny, it's simple, but it's clever, and it gives you enough combos to make it an appealing filler, I think, for a lot of different groups out there. I think this is one that people are going to play the first time, maybe even gamers, right? The heavy gamers are going to play the first time, and they'll go, yeah, okay, cute, but I think it's going to leave enough of sort of a bug to make you think, if I played that again, I would do this instead. And that's good. That's good. That means it's going to be a good filler, not just for that crowd, but for multiple different styles of groups out there. So I enjoyed it. It's not revolutionary. We've seen this stuff for the most part before, the trading power is kind of an original concept, but for the most part, this sort of scoring we've seen before, right? It makes me think a little bit of Tides of Time, Tides of Madness. But I enjoy the package. I think it's a well-done game. Care has gone into it. So I'm going to give this one a seal of approval. I'm going to recommend you check it out if you enjoy this style of filler and you think you have the group for it. So there you go. I will see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.